Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I know it's cold outside, but we can be warm inside. So let's try that again, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's always a blessing to come down here, mashallah, and to visit you all. I think I came by last year, and alhamdulillah, everyone across the country and even the States has seen and heard of the great work that the MSA does at McMaster. So may Allah bless you all and reward you all, and allow you to continue being the forerunners in establishing good programming for universities and youngsters across your area in McMaster, Waterloo, and all over the GTA. So may Allah bless you all and reward you all, and inshallah allow this to be a source of continuous reward for you on your scales, inshallah ta'ala. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد النبي العالمين الذي اسمه مكتوب في الإنجيل والتوراة أما بعد فقد قال الله تعالى في كتابه العزيز بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألهاكم التكاثر حتى زرتم المقابر كلا سوف تعلمون ثم كلا سوف تعلمون وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يا أبا سفيان جئتكم بكرامة الدنيا وخير الآخرة أسلم تسلم أو كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the most important goals one of the most important elements and factors that allows a person to reach any mundane goal in life at a micro level, not even at a macro level, is the ability to focus on that which they are aiming to achieve in life. And the moment someone's focus is taken away from them, the moment someone is unable to remain focused, they have already compromised the potential of their intended outcome and objective of life. And this is true for someone who is shooting a shot. This is why when people shoot free throws in the NBA, there are people behind them that are trying to take away and distract them. And they're doing whatever they can to distract them. At the mundane micro level of playing sports, when someone is writing something, they need to be zoned in and focused. When someone is reading something, though it's such an easy read, being distracted takes you away from being able to benefit from whatever you're reading if you're watching something. Focus is what allows a person to grow in whichever field, or rather in whichever goal that they have in life. My dear friends, the ultimate goal of life, which has been established for us, and which is much easier. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it easier for us that we don't have to establish the goal of life, because if you think about it, if that burden was put upon us, it would be very difficult. We struggle to establish the goal of why we go to college. Hence we change majors. We struggle to establish the goal of why we get married. We struggle to establish the goal of why we want to be in the workforce. So we're fortunate, are we, that the burden of establishing the goal of life wasn't placed upon us. That goal was already fulfilled and given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is to earn Allah's pleasure in this world and to be ultimately to be able to earn the bliss of Jannah in the Akhirah. Now, with this in mind, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates Adam alayhi salam. And He teaches us that this goal of earning Jannah and this goal of earning my bliss and my pleasure, which is the ultimate reward a person can aim for, وَرِضْوَانٌ مِّنَ اللَّهِ أَكْبَرُ, comes through a process of serving His creation in this world. إِنِّي وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. That the goal is to earn Jannah, but the process is through serving Allah's commandments in this world and serving Allah's creation in this world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set this world to be of a cyclical nature. It's a vicious cycle. The idea of this concept of giving and receiving in this world is what Allah has set for us. What I mean by that is, if someone truly wants to be helped by Allah, a person, all they have to do is help other people. إِنَّ اللَّهَ فِي عَوْنِ الْعَبْدِ مَا كَانَ الْعَبْدُ فِي عَوْنِ أَخِيهِ. That a person will always, you and I can be asking, when will Allah help me? When do I know Allah's help is with me? The Prophet says it's very easy. You don't have to think too hard. It's not a philosophy. It's not a theory. It's an application. And we theorize and philosophize so much. But before we can philosophize, the condition was that Allah talks about this in clear details in Surah Al Imran. الَّذِينَ يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ قِيَامًا وَقُعُودًا وَعَلَى جُنُوبِهِمْ. Then He mentions وَيَتَفَكَّرُونَ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. That a person first has to remember Allah in every space, in every state in their life. Sitting, standing, moving, which means that this is something which is consistently found in their life. that they're remembering Allah. Then when they have this pretext, now they can philosophize. Now they can يتفكرون. Now they can think, what is the purpose of life? But take away that precedent from them, just thinking about what the purpose of life will lead them into a windmill that perhaps they will have difficulty coming out of. First is these people establish dhikr in their life. They establish the remembrance of Allah. Then they think. When they follow this process, they will come out by saying, رَبَّنَا مَا خَلَقْتَ هَذَا بَاطِلًا. Oh Allah, nothing of that which you have created doesn't have a purpose. Everything has a purpose. So when a person is thinking now, there's no philosophy of earning Allah's help. You don't have to theorize it. The Prophet of Allah made it clear that the moment I'm helping someone else, know that Allah is also helping me. Similarly, the Prophet taught us, irhamu turhamu. Forgive and you shall be forgiven. You and I all have flaws and mistakes. One of the greatest blessings of Allah upon us, as Imam Shafi rahimahullah says, is that Allah hides our mistakes. But what if on the Day of Judgment Allah chooses to expose us? What guarantee do we have that we will be covered by the grace and the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the Day of Judgment, where Allah tells us? It's very simple. The Prophet of Allah makes it clear, Man satara aiba akhihi, satarahu Allahu yawm al-qiyamah. Whoever hides someone else's flaws, Allah will hide their flaws. This is the process of giving and receiving. The process of making sure that we are present so that Allah can be present for us. Ihfadillah yahfadka. The process of earning Allah's bliss in Jannah has been through being an ambassador of Allah upon this earth. Shaytan's entire goal from day one has been to make sure that I don't fulfill that role of being Allah's ambassador. I don't fulfill that role of being an ambassador, but rather I take that affiliation off my back and say that I am my own person. I am my own person. وَكَذَلِكَ سَوَّلَتْ لِي نَفْسِي أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. Shaitan's goal is to strip our affiliation of being an ambassador off our back so that we can say, as they say in sports, that they say that I'm playing for my name, not for the logo. Shaitan now wants his person to play for their name, not for the logo of their team. And whenever that happens, even at the micro level, it doesn't work out well. Because playing for the team is the ultimate goal. Playing for Islam and putting one's ego aside is the ultimate goal for a believer. So Shaitan's entire goal becomes in this life, how do I incite, entice, encourage, motivate this person to remove that packaging of being an ambassador of Allah in this world. We talk about Shaitan's tricks when it comes to how he takes our khushu away from prayer. We can talk about Shaitan's tricks and how he perhaps may take away our sincerity in giving charity. My dear friends, all of that is important. But what's more important than that is talking about Shaitan's tricks when he takes us away from the purpose of our life. A person can be as sincere as possible in their prayer. But if this person doesn't have the true purpose of life, what benefit will their prayer truly give them? A person can be sincere in their fasting, but what benefit will their fast give them if they don't truly understand the purpose of it? Shaitan will allow a person to do, and he will make sure that person continues to do, but there will be no benefit of it. The Prophet speaks about this in multiple narrations of رُبَّ صَائِمٍ لَيْسَ لَهُ مِنْ صِيَامِهِ إِلَّا الْجُوعُ وَرُبَّ قَائِمٍ لَيْسَ لَهُ مِنْ قِيَامِهِ إِلَّا السَّهْرِ. He talks about the concept of how many people fast in the month of Ramadan but they gain nothing from it. But they were fasting with sincerity. They were doing it for the purpose of Allah. But they gain nothing from it except for hunger. How many people stand for tahajjud but they gain nothing from it except for exhaustion? How many people make an effort to serve Allah's deen but they gain nothing from it? They're moving, they're making an effort, they're grinding, they're hustling, but that hustle proves nothing to the benefit of their akhirah, because not every movement is progress. Sometimes movement is simply exhaustion. Imagine trying to go to Toronto, and you end up driving 401. I'm from Michigan, right? To go to Toronto, we're supposed to go 401 what? East. Imagine getting on the highway, aiming to go to Mississauga, and you're going 401 west. But you're sincere in where you want to go. Your car is right. Everything is good. but I'm simply going towards the wrong direction. And before I know it, I'm halfway there, and I think I'm making it. So what Shaytan will do to us is keep us sincere. He'll let us do the amal. We're driving the car, we're continuing the movements that are needed to make us feel like we are where we should be. But what is the purpose of it? Am I going in the right direction? Am I still a Khalifa of Allah on this world? Am I still an ambassador of Allah? So everything begins from identifying what my true purpose is. It's just like how friends can do to you. You're still a son of someone, you're still a daughter of someone. But a friend can take away your love for your parents. But you're still living with them. You're still serving them. You're still enjoying time with them. But are you really growing in that relationship? Shaitan can let us live as a Muslim. But am I truly fulfilling the purpose of why I'm here? We talk about the importance of intention. Not in prayer. If you look in the books of hadith and the books of the salaf, we don't find many discussions about how to have a good intention for salat. What we see in the Quran and hadith is how to have a good intention when you wake up in the morning. Meaning, what's my purpose? Man asbaha minkum wa dunya akbaru hammihi. Like that macro level. Waking up in the morning and saying that my purpose is Allah. This is why we've been given our daily affirmations of raditu billahi rabba. That every morning Shaitan is coming with 3 knots upon me. And now his 3 knots that he's placed upon me is not because he doesn't want me to pray. He simply wants me to forget my purpose. The 3 knots, every single morning we wake up with. The first is removed by reciting the dua. The second is removed by making wudu. The third is removed by praying the 2 raka'ah. However, in the morning, the Prophet taught us to say, raditu billahi rabba. So I'm reminded that yes, Shaitan is coming to me right now. He's telling me that you never got that job, you never got that score, you never received the letter that you were hoping to receive. But I say to Shaitan, raditu billahi rabba. It's not about whether or not my prayer is correct. It's about whether or not my mindset is correct as a believer. Raditu billahi rabba. I'm pleased with Allah being my Lord. I'm pleased with knowing that Allah is in control. I'm pleased to know that the writer of the script of my life is Allah. Ali ibn Abi Talib would say that if Allah gave me the opportunity to write the entire qadr of my life, and He said to me, write what you want as you will and as you wish and you shall receive it. Imagine being told that. Whatever you want, you will receive it. And then Allah placed in front of me the qadr that He has written for me. He says there will not be a single person except that we will choose that which Allah has already written for us. Raditu billahi rabba. I wake up in the morning and say that now I am happy with Allah. The pursuit of happiness is a fallacy. The pursuit of contentment is the goal. The pursuit of happiness is something that even children can achieve. It's not a high goal. Kids can pursue happiness. But as we grow and we mature, our pursuits change. A kid does what he wants to do, what she wants to do because they want to be happy. Adults do what they want to do because they have purpose. The mother is not happy by staying awake all night to serve that child, but this is what she has to do. It's not about happiness anymore. The pursuit of happiness is the greatest fallacy of life. The Prophet ﷺ did not live a happy life. He lived a life of being content. How could you be happy if you buried 6 of your 7 children? Rida is not farah. It's not farahtu billah, it's raditu billah. I'm pleased with Allah. If He gives me or He takes from me. إِعْطَاؤُهُ رَحْمَةٌ وَأَخْذُهُ حِكْمَةٌ. How Ghazali would say His giving is a form of His mercy and His taking is a form of His wisdom. رَضِيتُ وَبِالْإِسْلَامِ دِينًا. I'm pleased with Islam being my way of life. I don't care how different it looks or how strange it looks. Everyone is a stranger to someone else's definition of what normal is. This is my truth. And it's the objective truth. وَبِمُحَمَّدٍ صَلَى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ نَبِيًّا. And I am content, I am pleased to be a follower of the Prophet ﷺ. My dear friends, everyone wants to be a leader. This is what Shaitan puts in our mind. Why can't you work for your name? Why are you working for your team? Why are you just simply doing whatever? You're better than them. Why are you dressing like them? You're better. They're not losing our opportunities. speaking about Gaza, but you're losing out opportunities speaking about Gaza. You have higher aspirations than everyone else. You can do much more than everyone else. Don't get caught up in what those people are doing. If you want to be a leader, what Shaytan is plugging within our minds, how often do we open up our feeds and it talks about the importance of leadership, the qualities of being a leader, the characteristics of being a leader. What if I was to tell you the first condition, the first prerequisite and condition of being a leader is to become a follower? Nobody can ever claim leadership if they haven't learned how to be a follower. Even the Prophet of Allah is told, أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ هَدَاهُمُ اللَّهُ فَبِهُدَاهُ مُقْتَدِي. You want to lead people, Ya Rasulullah, you're the greatest human being, you are the greatest, you are the paragon. But you want to be a leader? Be a follower of all these other prophets first. Follow them, and then you become a leader. So these affirmations remind us in the morning that my purpose is that I am a Khalifa of Allah upon this land. Now, what does it mean? Two things that are mentioned, two things that are important to keep in mind in this concept of being a Khalifa of Allah, being an ambassador of Allah, which Shaytan is challenging. Shaytan is not challenging just my prayer. Shaytan is challenging my purpose of life. His ultimate goal is لَأُغْوِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ, is to make everyone go astray. His ultimate goal is to take a person who's on the pathway towards Jannah and say, hey, why don't you take a turn over here and go there because it looks more beautiful, it will give you more benefits. It is more, like how the Prophet mentioned, that Jahannam is filled with beautiful things. Bishahawat. It's very attractive. Whatever is surrounding it is very attractive. So Khalifa means two things for us. The first thing that Khalifa entails for me, that Shaytan is challenging, is the rights of Allah upon me. What are the rights of Allah upon me right now? Shaytan's going to say that someone else has a right upon you as well. That's perfectly okay. But what is Allah's right upon me right now? What does Allah do? Allah has a right upon us. Allah's right is if I worship Him, the hadith says, if a person worships Allah from the day they became of age till the day they leave this world in sajda, and as they're passing away, even that person will consider what they've done to be less. Meaning that this person knows that it is not something out of my goodness that I am doing to worship Allah. It is Allah's right. It's like showing up to class when you have to show up. No one gets a pat on the back for being there. We get a pat on the back for performing. Worshipping Allah is Allah's right. And our right from Allah is to receive His help and His mercy. That's our right. Allah's mercy and His love is what we expect from Him. But the first point of Khalifa that Shaytan wants to pull us from is to think about other people's rights. But how about the rights of this person? How about the rights of that person? And Allah says, look, all of those rights are packaged within upholding my responsibility. إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً احْفَظِ اللَّهَ يَحْفَظْكَ. Preserve the rights of Allah, Allah will take care of you. Uphold the responsibilities that Allah has placed upon you. Whether that is your prayer, whether that is fasting in the month of Ramadan, whether that's avoiding haram, whatever it may be. Though, by compromising it, you may be pulled towards something better in this world for a temporary moment. You may gain something better. But that's not going to happen because I'm an ambassador and this is the right of Allah. And Ka'b ibn Malik, who was a great companion, when he went through a moment of being boycotted, socially boycotted by the companions because of a mistake that he committed, the kings and the rulers of the Roman Empire, they wrote to him and they said that we will give you half of our kingdom. Half of our kingdom, we will give it to you. Shaytan will come with great alternatives and great options. He will give us options and alternatives which we may not perhaps see on the side of the truth. And so they came to him and said, we will give you half of our kingdom, just come to us. Just come to us. And when a person recognizes their worth, you can't buy them. He responds to them and he says, Wallahi, if you were to give me your full kingdom, I wouldn't come to you. احفظ الله يحفظك. Shaitan's goal is to make someone else's right in our mind more important than Allah's right. Shaykh Yusuf Kandawli rahimahullah was a great scholar of the subcontinent region. Someone once asked him, what is the definition of a scholar? What is the definition of a scholar? He said a scholar is he or she that knows what Allah wants from them in every situation of their life. What does Allah want from me now? As I'm a student studying in university, what right does Allah have upon me right now? What am I expected to do? That's the first concept of Khalifa. The second concept of Khalifa is to protect the rights and to uphold the rights of Allah's people. To take care of the people of Allah and to uphold the rights of the people of Allah. To support them and to be with them and to take care of one another. This is the responsibility of a Khalifa. You know, an ambassador, he's responsible or she's responsible to take care of their entire delegation. That's their job. If we are the ambassadors of Allah, our responsibility is to take care of one another. This is why the Prophet ﷺ says in a hadith, and I'll move on quickly. This is a beautiful hadith, it's a beautiful parable. He says, Al-mu'minu kan-nahla. He says that a believer is like a honeybee. Now, Shaytan's ultimate goal, as it is to take us away from Allah, it's also to take us away from each other. This is why the goal of salat is not that the feet and the shoulders are aligned. The goal of salat is that the hearts are connected. And the process to get there is to make sure that your feet are aligned. The goal of Umrah and Hajj is not that you're wearing the same cloth. That's simply technicalities. Those are logistics. But the ultimate goal of Umrah and Hajj is to make sure that there is no difference amongst us. And we're all the same and we're all united. The ultimate goal of the higher worships is that a person feels that they are equal to each other. They are connected, their hearts are unified. What is the purpose of my prayer if my feet are touching or my shoulders are touching, but I can't say salam to the person next to me? What is the purpose of my Umrah and Hajj that if I'm wearing the same cloth and I'm not wearing any perfume and I'm worried about my sandals, but the person next to me doesn't get the love and respect because I know they're from a different country? It defeats the purpose. The entire purpose of being an ambassador of Allah upon this earth is that we take the responsibility of each other. We become people who take burdens from each other. We are prepared to inconvenience ourselves for someone else's convenience. And Shaytan fights against that. Shaytan's greatest tool is hasad. Shaytan's greatest tool is hasad. And hasad doesn't happen for Allah. It happens for the creation of Allah. It happens for each other. Shaytan's greatest tool that he used between the children of Adam and Qabil and Habil was hasad. Shaytan's greatest tool that he was able to use to impact the children of prophets and the children of Yaqub alayhi salam against his brother Yusuf was hasad. Why is it so that it seems like our father loves Yusuf more than he loves us? This is why Imam Ghazali rahimahullah says every sin only becomes a sin once you commit it, not when you think about it. But there are two sins that even just thinking about it becomes a stain for us. Arrogance and jealousy. Because even the thought of that is so venomous and it's so vile and futile that it has a trickle effect upon us even if we don't know it. So his ultimate goal is to take us away from Allah. But you know what the best way to do that is to take us away from each other. A person that's mufadiq lil jama'ah, a person that's always doing their own thing, a person that's always breaking people's hearts, a person that is always turning away from the community, they're naturally finding and they're treading their own pathway. And you know when you're treading your own pathway, it may seem like a good thing, but in Islam it's a very negative thing. That's called bid'ah. We want to be on the pathway of those that came before us. This is why in the hadith that is mentioned in Sahih Muslim, that Shaytan every night, or rather every morning, he calls upon his small shaitans, right? He says, hey guys, what'd you do today? Like imagine like having a daily huddle with your employees and your co-workers. So what was your greatest metric today? So one of the shaitans will say, you know, today I made someone miss Fajr. So okay, good. It's all right, not bad. Next person, what did you do today? What was your greatest achievement today? That person will say, you know, today I made someone like, you know, eat something which was impermissible. Okay, not bad. You're moving somewhere. The next person goes, what did you? Finally, the small shaitan, this tiny one, right? He gets up and he was asked, what did you do today? And the small shaitan says, today I made a husband and a wife fight with each other. I created an argument between them. And the commentaries of the hadith say it's not that I created an argument between a husband and a wife. It means that I created an argument between two people who love each other. It could be siblings. It It could be good friends. And Shaytan gets up. Iblis says, come here. This guy's an honor roll student. And he'll give him a round of applause. Like quite literally. He puts him on his lap. He said, this is my prodigy. He understands the goal. He understands the process. Because to pull someone away from Allah is done through pulling them away from the people of Allah. And this is why being with the people of Allah automatically puts you in a place that you are closer to Allah. Good companionship. So the second goal of a Khalifa, an ambassador, is to take the responsibility of their delegation. Which means each and every one of us. So the Prophet taught us that we're not believers until we love for our brother that which we love for ourselves. It's a very difficult goal to reach. But the idea of it is not a utopian idea. It's a realistic idea. I don't want my siblings or my brothers or sisters to be harmed. So why should I be the cause of harm? I don't want to be harmed by them. So going back to how I started, that the Prophet says that a believer is like a honeybee. This is an ambassador of Allah upon this earth. A honeybee, Imam Suyuti rahimahullah says, has 3 qualities. A honeybee has 3 qualities. If we can remember this, it would hopefully be a source of benefit. How is a believer like a honeybee? By the way, the Prophet ﷺ would use other examples as well. That al-mu'minu kad-nakhla, that a believer is like a date palm tree. I mean, let me ask for this one. I mean, we're sitting in McMaster, one of the best universities in Hamilton. No, I'm just... Hey, you got best next to your name. It's okay. But so what's a nakhla? Well, why would a believer be like a date palm tree? What's the correlation between that? Anyone? Thoughts? Sisters? No? Yes? Maybe? There's no wrong answer. I mean, of course there is, but I like there isn't. Go ahead, Habibi. Maybe because they're stable, like they don't move. Right. Stable. They're stable. They don't have a spectrum of emotional responses. Right? They're stable in the way that they react. Correct. What else? Go ahead. The weather and the environment does not overburden it. These are all, man, you guys are hitting it on the head. I mean, we got enough. Jazakallah khair, everyone. May Allah bless you. How nice to see you. MashaAllah. But yes, the mu'min is like a date palm tree, because a date palm tree, regardless of how harsh the winds are, it always comes back to the middle. Meaning, regardless of how difficult or kind people are, they never become too extreme. They never become too extreme in their praise, and they also never become too extreme in their hatred for anyone. They always come back right in the middle. Number 2, that a date palm tree, regardless of the weather and the environment, will always give dates. The believer, regardless of what state they're in emotionally or mentally, they would always provide someone with benefit. Even if they're not doing too well, they will smile at someone. Even if they're not doing too well, they'll make sure that they're a giver and not a receiver. Like a date palm tree, it's always giving. So another example of this was that a believer is like a honeybee. 3 ways. The first one, Imam Suyuti rahimahullah says, is this honeybee, whenever it falls upon, or it comes upon a flower and a petal to take nectar from, it never completely puts its weight upon it. It just hovers above it. If you've ever seen a picture or like a video, they always just hover. They don't put their full weight. She does not put her full weight upon the flower. So she never burdens her environment. Though she is taking from it, she doesn't burden it. So the first way that a believer is like a honeybee, that a believer never burdens the people around them. Though they're physically there, and they may be a receiver, but they won't burden people. They won't overstay their duration of being a guest. They won't overstay. They won't overuse. So if someone comes, someone gives me their car to use, and they tell me you can use my car. I don't burden you by taking a full tank and returning it empty. You know how most of us would do? He gave me his car. I'm gonna give it back to him. Alhamdulillah, I gave it back to him without crashing it. No, I gave it back to him. He gave me a half tank. I gave him back a full tank. This is a believer. Like, we don't overburden our environment. We don't enter into a gathering and expect everyone to listen to us. We don't enter into a meeting and think that our voice is the most important voice in the room. No. We're not those people that others are saying, I can't wait till he or she leaves. We are those people that say, I can't wait till they come. Al-mu'minu kan-nahla. We're like that honeybee. We never burden our environment. Number 2, he says that this honeybee Though it takes nectar from the flower, it also gives back pollen. A honeybee is never just a receiver, just like a believer. A believer takes, but it always gives back and benefits that same ecosystem. He or she never just takes. That's the quality of a munafiq. This is why we're taught when someone says Assalamu alaikum to you, that the response should be Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. That I received salam, meaning that someone benefited me. Let me recompense and compensate them with something which is better. This is why we're taught when someone gives you a gift, try to give them a gift as well. It's always idfa' billati ahsan, always to give back more. So this honeybee always whenever it takes, it also gives. It never just takes. A believer is always looking to give, even when they are in a moment of need. A third is that this honeybee, if it was to enter into a space filled with filth and garbage, it will not sit anywhere until it finds a pure flower. It won't. It will just keep looking for it. Unlike the Prophet saying that a munafiq is like a dhubab. A munafiq is like a fly, which is pretty bad. No one likes a fly. Like, we're allowed to kill flies, right? The fly, it's just the noise of it is irritating. Their presence is overwhelming. A fly is such that even when it enters into your house and there's pure food, the fly will look for the washroom. But the honeybee will look for that flower. What that means is that we as believers, someone may have 99 flaws. But as a honeybee, I will not fall upon the 99 flaws, I'll talk about the good. Even if it's one good thing. A munafiq will do the opposite. Like, you know how a lot of us, including myself, will go to like a gathering or a wedding, as we perhaps grow older as well, we go to these different gatherings, da'was, weddings, come out saying, mashallah, it was a great wedding. Everything was good, the food was good, the dessert was good, but chai thandi thi. Like the tea was cold. Like, brother, you only brought $20 anyways. If there was an entry fee, you wouldn't be allowed in. Like, why are you focusing on the tea being cold? Whereas you could have spoken about all the good things. Like, we become expert analyzers. Like, was the groom really happy? The dude's getting married, he's probably happy. I don't know, man. I'm not sure if the bride was happy. She looked okay, but maybe she's just acting. When did I become an analyst? That's not our job. This is called being a fly. Always carrying negativity. Now, the point of saying all of this is that being a khalifa is what is the ultimate purpose and intention of what Allah created us for. Is to be the ambassador of Allah. And it means two things. I am the ambassador of Allah and upholding His rights upon me. And I'm also the ambassador of Allah and upholding the justice of my believers and my brothers and sisters. This is why we're taught to stand up for injustice. Now, after this was established, Shaytan's story comes in. And he says that I cannot let this person fulfill these two responsibilities. My job is to make sure this person doesn't fulfill this responsibility. And how would I do that? Shaytan has more than 100 and 1,000 tricks. But the first trick that he used is the trick that he uses most often upon us. He makes us feel like we're missing out on something. That's the first trick, by the way. The first trick is not jealousy. Jealousy is what got the children of Adam. But what got Adam was not jealousy. What got Adam is what gets us on a daily basis. FOMO. That's what gets us. The fear of missing out on something. If you present yourself like a Muslim, maybe you'll miss out on something. Maybe it's better if you don't do it that way. My dear friends, just a quick tangent. Have you ever heard someone using the word despite for blessings? I'll tell you what I mean. When was the last time you heard someone saying, alhamdulillah, I made it in life despite having parents? You're like, that's supposed to happen. When was the last time you heard someone saying, Wallah, alhamdulillah, I made it in life despite being raised in a family of a millionaire? Or I made it in life with a small loan, like Trump said, $10 million, just a small loan. Like, bro, that's a pretty big loan. No one uses despite alongside blessings. We use despite alongside burdens. People would say, I made it in life despite being an orphan. I made it in life despite not having anyone in Canada when I moved here. It's a burden. But I still, FAFSA, scholarship, this, that. I worked my way up. So how and when it became common, I'm not sure, but it should be fixed by all of us. That when someone uses despite for being a Muslim, alhamdulillah, I made it in life despite being Muslim. I made it in life despite my name being Muhammad or Fatima. I made it in life despite wearing a hijab. I made it in life despite having a lihya. What do you mean despite? When did we start using despite for blessings? If I don't use despite for having parents and I don't use despite for having wealth, Islam being the greatest blessing of life, how did it become a common theme for us to simply refer to it as a despite? That means that it is an extension of us thinking of it to be a burden. I made it despite being Muslim. No, brother, I made it because I'm Muslim. ذَلِكُمَا مِمَّا عَلَّمَنِي رَبِّي. This is because of the fact that I believe in Allah. I made it because my name is Abdullah or Fatima. I made it because I uphold the ethics and the rules and the laws of Allah. That's why we make it. We don't make it despite of that. We make it because of that. I made it in life despite fasting. No, I made it because I was fasting. So Shaytan, the first rule, and now I will only speak about one trick. I mentioned jealousy, just moving through the discussion, but the one trick I wanted to spend more time on was the trick that was used to get our father. And he planted the seed early. When he was told to do sajda, he said, no. Why? I'm better than him. I want him to have an inferiority complex. I want him to think that I'm better. Because if he thinks I'm better, he will always look up to me. He will always try to figure out how to be like me and how to emulate me. He plants a seed of, no, I am better than him. This is the seed that Shaytan plants in our mind of kufr, as somehow they have something better than us. This is the seed that he plants about people who don't have faith, that they may have it better than us. This is the seed that he plants about people who have different blessings. But dear friends, every blessing comes with a burden. There's not a single blessing in life that does not have a challenge attached to it. Yusuf alayhi salam's greatest blessing was what? Anyone? Quickly? Was his beauty. You know what his greatest burden in life was? His beauty. He was sold, he was betrayed by his own blood because he was more beautiful. He was sold as a slave because of Ya Bushra, how beautiful he was. He was thrown into prison because of his beauty. The blessing is only a blessing if I'm able to overcome the burden that it comes with. And if I can't overcome it, Allah doesn't give it to me. Everyone speaks about لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها, famous ayah. I promise you 9 out of 10 times when I hear about this ayah myself and I read about it, it's the same thing. That Allah doesn't burden us with a challenge that we cannot handle. But that's not the common theme of this ayah when it comes in the commentaries of the Quran. Actually, this ayah is in the context that Allah does not give us a blessing that we cannot handle. Just like how Allah doesn't give us a burden that we can't handle, Allah doesn't give us a blessing that we cannot handle. So why did she get into medical school and not me? Because that blessing perhaps would have swayed me away from Allah. The first trick of Shaytan is FOMO. They got it, why didn't I get it? And the reason why they got it is because they did A and B. Let me do that too. No, we have a system. وَبِالْإِسْلَامِ دِينَ. I'm content with my system. So Shaytan plants a seed. I'm better than Adam. And now with this in mind, he goes ahead and he attracts him and entices him with this concept of FOMO. Yo man, if you eat this fruit, you'll live forever. And by the way, Adam alayhi salam, his goal was, if I can eat the fruit and live forever, I will obey Allah forever. That was his goal. You know, sometimes we say, no, I'm just doing it so I can do more for the religion. The ends don't justify the means. If that was okay to do, then what the brothers of Yusuf did was justified. Because they had a great intention, which was يَخْلُ لَكُمْ وَجْهُ أَبِيكُمْ. We want our dad to love us. So we get rid of our brother so our dad can love us. So Adam is saying, yeah, I want to eat from this tree so that potentially I can live forever, not to earn more money, so I can worship Allah. One will look at that without context and say, what a pious person. They want to become this so they can serve their deen. We say, wow, we accept it, but not at the compromise of a process that wasn't given to us. Input equals output. Batil will only spread more batil. right? Falsehood will only spread more falsehood. Doesn't matter if you have poison in your bowl, it doesn't matter how much water you put in there, there's still poison in there. Right? If there's batil, it will only create more harm. And if there's haqq, it will only create more truth. So he gets to this person by telling him that you will live forever, and he tricks him through an intention that was pure, not something which was impure. So people like you and I would hope all of us are included in this. Shaytan comes to us and every single human being with this fear of missing out component. That if you don't do this, what if you miss out on something? If you don't decide to change, what if you miss out on the trend and the fads that people are flowing within? You got to jump on that ship real quick. And we say, no, I'm ready to jump on that ship, but not at the compromise of being a Khalifa of Allah. And I'll end with this. There's two ways that you can visit. There are two ways that you can visit a land. And this would hopefully summarize what it means to be an ambassador. Two ways that you can visit somewhere, right? So for example, if I was to visit Canada, the 51st state of America, no, I'm messing around. The guy's a loose cannon. But nonetheless, if I was to visit like a country from America as an ambassador, you know what that means, right? What does that mean? Before I land, someone's already there to pick me up. I don't have to think about Uber. They already have a car waiting for me. A fool would think it's because of him. An intelligent person would know it's because of me I have the pin of USA next to me. I'm the ambassador, hence they're picking me up. Before this person gets to their hotel, their luggage is already there. Before they think about what to order, their food is already taken care of. Before they think about how will I remain secure and protected, they have a security team with them. Everything that this person would have thought about has already been taken care of for them. Why? Because they are an ambassador of another country. Now, because they're an ambassador of another country, even that country can't harm him or her. The rules of law, you cannot harm an ambassador. You got to protect the ambassador in every country. This is a rule. Protect the ambassador. Now, only a person who lacks maturity would think, let me go back to that same country without being an ambassador, being a tourist. I get off that same airplane, I'm looking for that limo, no one there. Maybe they forgot I was coming. Maybe they forgot. So I get my Uber. I get to the hotel, no one's there. Maybe they forgot to get my check-in. No food. Because now I'm coming as a tourist. I'm representing myself. There will be no honor in us representing ourselves in a different country without being an ambassador of something bigger than us. There is also no honor in representing ourselves as ourselves to Allah without having the ambassador chip with us from Allah, without being affiliated to this deen. That is what gives us our honor. When I become an ambassador, Allah says, the rizq is upon me. Your security is upon me. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. Your growth is upon me. Your barakah comes from me. Because you've chosen to be the ambassador of my deen. Now everything else I'll take care of. And the moment it's not being taken care of is because you chose to remove that badge of being Allah's ambassador, which means two things. Serve Allah's rights and serve the rights of Allah's people. And as long as we're doing these two things, that means we're upholding the purpose of our creation. We're not speaking about Shaytan tricking us in our prayer. We're worried about Shaytan tricking us in the purpose of our life. We want to be moving, but not in the wrong direction. Because that movement will create more harm than any good that it can bring into our life. And the greatest trick of Shaytan that he catches every one of us, because he caught our father in it, is to make us feel like there's something else that we're missing out on. The grass is not greener on the other side every single time. There comes a point where there was a desert there, and we thought there was grass. It's a mirage. It's a mirage that Allah says, كَسَرَابٍ بَقِيعَةٍ يَحْسَبُهُ الظَّمْآنُ مَاءً. They think that there's water there, but when they get there, there's nothing there. It's dry. There's nothing to gain, there's nothing to benefit from. So may Allah allow us to be amongst those people that understand what the purpose of our creation is. So if Shaitan compromises a micro thing, we don't let it compromise the macro, which is to know why we are here. And how he would compromise it would be to making us feel like we're missing out on something else through seeing what others have. We don't need to see what anyone else has. لا تمدن عينيك إلى ما متعنا به أزواجا منهم. We stay focused and let Shaitan attempt to distract us, but we come back as much as we can to remain focused on the ultimate goal of the pleasure of Allah. May Allah bless you all, reward you all. Inshallah, we'll see you all later on in the evening in the last session. Jazakallah khair for coming out. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.